The following has adult themes and may have swearing. You have been warned.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Some rustling sound came from behind the door. It could be someone else who's got poisoned, broke their arm, or something worse. I sighed heavy and pulled the doorknob. However, there was no one there. It seemed it was just my imagination. I returned inside and instantly noticed that something had changed in the infirmary. To be precise, an apple had appeared on the table. But where from? Fruits can't just materialise by thin air by themselves, can they? Though in this camp anything's possible. Chances are someone just brought it here. Maybe Leanna wanted to thank me. Given that she's all shy and... But wait, how could she just walk past me like that? Lena wouldn't climb through the window after all. So there must be something else. I was suddenly overwhelmed by fear. What if the apple was poisoned? Though why would someone complicate things when I'm here totally helpless? I could be easily killed. I can be killed way easier. Or it might be an apple which Eve tasted in the Garden of Eden. In this case, I certainly should not eat it. The same second my stomach reminded of itself by wobbling treacherously. However, it would take time to close the infirmary to reach the canteen to take food. My stomach is about to eat itself. There is quick fact: your stomach is always eating itself. There is nothing wrong, I guess. Once again, I tried to remember if this apple was here before, and in the end it must have appeared from somewhere. Maybe it got here through the window. The shutters were slightly open, so someone must have put it there. Nothing serious, however. Eat the apple, let's go for it. Nom nom nom. Finally, hunger prevailed, and I started chewing on the ripe green apple with an appetite. The taste seemed usual, though I don't think that even the strongest poison can be tasted. But it's too late to think about that. It was time to go for dinner. What? Along my way, so he eats an apple and he just goes anyway. Along my way, I was reached by Electronic. How's it going? Did you find Shuruk? No, still no signs of him. Police time. Don't worry, we'll find him. I tried to cheer him up. Too much time has passed. I'll just keep searching. Just keep searching. What about dinner? No, finding Shuruk is more important, he uttered thoughtfully. I left him at the crossroad and wished him good luck. Pioneers crowded in the doorway. I quickened my pace to try not to be the last one in line, at least for today. At least I was lucky. In the far corner was an absolutely empty table. I took my dinner and quickly sat down at the table. Tonight's dinner consisted of fruit soup and a pair of buns. Fruit soup? That's weird. This set surprised me at first, but the taste was actually nice. I concentrated on eating. Milka, Leanna, let's go here. Look, free chairs. Leanna and Milka stood up in front of me. Is it taken? Wondered Leanne. No, take a seat. Of course, I wish she was alone. Thank you. As soon as Leanna sat, that Johanna? Wait, that's changed. Jumped out from behind her back. Boing. I'll sit here. There are no places left. She sat, putting her tray on the table, and sat down, not even waiting for my answer. Sure, make yourself at home, I muttered sorrowfully. What? Nothing. To tell you the truth, I wanted to reduce the whole company to just Lena. Thought nor Milka or gender were causing too much trouble. I swear, they've changed her name. Except one was talkative and the other was too arrogant. But nevertheless, they were absolutely harmless, especially comparing to others. Oh, seems like I forgot the key. A key. Don't worry, take mine. I was surprised by Milk's short reply. Do you live together? Of course, didn't you know? Together. Our cabin is rearmost. I mean the farthest from here. I mean the last one. Wow, okay. I wouldn't be surprised if someone told me that Lena lived with Sylvia. Or with Zahana. See? It bloody changed her name. It was a J. Z is a J and a J. At worst. Even electronic. But silent and shy, Lena had excessively talked Milka into Milk making a company. That's really a surprise. Did you find Shurik? It's strange that Zahana is disturbed by someone's problems. No. Sure, he is at the village buying cigarettes. Or vodka. She snorted. Village? That very moment, conversation got much more interesting. Anything wrong with villages? Zahana looked amazed. You mean there's a village nearby? I think so, she said, uncertain. I looked at Lina and Milka, but they were busy with their meals and did not pay attention to our conversation. You mean you don't know exactly where? Why should I care? Zahana stared at her dish. But there must be localities nearby. Listening? I don't know. Will you let me eat? Seems like we won't get anything from her, though there is a chance that she really doesn't know. The remaining time was spent listening to Milka talking about some nonsense. I was just slowly going mad in silence. Obviously, first thing I did going out after that was inhaling a great amount of fresh air. The sun was setting. I decided to take a walk. Highly unlikely that I will find anything more to do the rest of the evening. That way, something interesting could arise quite unexpectedly. I was approaching the square when I heard a loud clap. Seemed like something exploded. I felt paralysed. I am in a hostile environment, not knowing the rules and laws of this place. It would be better for me to run. But at the same, I was curious. Probably I would just keep here standing, but someone grabbed my hand. It was Olga. Why are you standing here? Let's go and see what happened. Can't you manage without me? I begged her pitilessly. Blah. It shouldn't be anything serious, I hope. When we came to the square, there were already crowds of pioneers. Why haven't they drawn the crowds of pioneers? It's annoying. Olga vigorously pushed through the crowds and approached towards the crime scene. Obviously someone tried to blow up Jenna. But its attackers failed, the monument still standing upright. There were dim ashes and traces on the pedestal. Well, and who did this? She looked over at the crowd of pioneers. Sure thing it wasn't done by an organised terrorist bunch. They all came here just to look at what happened. I noticed Joanna and Elisa in the crowd. And looks like our camp leader noticed them too. You two, here. They approached reluctantly. Why always me? If you think so, show me your hands. What's wrong with them? I looked closer and saw they were smeared with black. Now it's clear. What did you make the bomb with? Junior terrorists seemed to be hesitating with the confess or not, but then blurted out proudly. Activated carbon, saltpeter and sulfur. Wait a minute. Carbon? Carbon that you stole from the first aid post. Why exactly the monument? What did this honourable man ever do to you? The fighter of the rights of... I could hardly imagine how long it she would on scolding Elisa and if Electronic wouldn't pop out at that very moment shouting, I found it! I found it! Everyone turned towards him. He held a boot in his hand. Here! Electronic boastfully shook it over his head. It's Sherrock's boot. Okay, calm down. Tell us where in detail you found it. In the forest, on the way to the old camp. Whispers ran amongst the pioneers. Old camp? Old camp. Are you sure? Absolutely. What's wrong with this old camp? I joined in the conversation. Nothing special, really, she stammered. One of the Civics legends tells the story of a young camp leader ghost living there. She fell in love with a pioneer, but he rejected her, and so she killed herself. Did Harry carry with a kitchen knife? Next day the boy was hit by a bus. Nice. Joanna ran out of the crowd. A bus? I held myself from asking about the route number. But science doesn't approve of ghost existence, so we have nothing to be afraid of. Anyway, somebody should go there. Suddenly the crowd started to thin. Ogre, it's almost night. Maybe tomorrow? I turned around and saw Sylvia and Lena. What if at night something happens to him? No, today, right now. By the way, where is this place? Electronic roughly described me the directions and told me the story of the old camp. Camp leader looked at me attentively. If you think that you're the only man here. I looked around the area. That's right. Electronic was quick to flee. I still didn't want to walk into the woods alone. If you asked me, I would. He fancies her, but he wouldn't risk her. Not going with her because she's a pain in the ass. Sylvia, she's nice, but no. Elisa, she's quite mean, so yeah, let's do that. What am I saying? Why would she go with me? Am I going there alone? I don't get a choice anyway. Ogre looked thoughtfully. Perhaps you're right. We'll go there tomorrow morning. So wait, I'm going to go back and see if I get a second chance. Okay. So if I say go alone. Perhaps you're right. Okay, so let's go back. Let's see if there is any choice, or what is the point of a choice there. So where are we? Go with... Okay, so just put it back one more. So, what haven't we tried? That one. See? What's the point? Where are we? Okay, let's try that one. It seems that her first event has limits too. Right, okay, well we'll go back and pick... Where are we? So what did I pick first? Pick that one. Okay. So we don't ruin the storyline of where I would have gone. Right. We stood in silence for some time and then dispersed over the camp. Everybody seemed to have forgotten about Elisa and her terrorist act, maybe due to the minor damage it caused. Together with the camp leader, we moved towards her cabin. I tried to think Shrek would go to the old camp. He is interested in robots and cybernetics, not scary stories and ghosts. What does it have to do with the boot? I remembered how I decided to wait until something extraordinary would happen, and then realised this is it. Ogre, I think I'll take a walk before I sleep. Just not a long one. Okay. When I reached the square, I understood that hanging around in the forest at some other hell place may not be that scary, but doing this in the dark. I didn't want to return to Ogre's cabin, but I had to find a flashlight, for instance in the infirmary. I was glad I didn't spend the whole time there reading the fashion magazine. Kinda did. Flashlight was found quickly, and in a few minutes I was standing again at the square, putting myself together. I just had to make the final decision before I entered the forest. Moving along the pioneers' cabins, by the forest path into the abandoned camp, I set forth. Lecturer told me that the old building was built immediately after the war. It looked like a kindergarten or barracks as I expected, and definitely could fit less pioneers than today's camp. It was abandoned for about 20 years. It was totally dark. The forest looked totally different at night. Mysterious shadows were hiding behind the trees, strange rustling and cries of the night birds coming from everywhere, branches treacherous crunching under my feet. The full moon was shining, so I decided to save the battery of the flashlight. Sure, I would need it sometime soon. Further I moved, the less pleasant thoughts were coming into my head. I wasn't afraid of the dark at all. I didn't believe in ghosts and other mysterious crap, but at the same time, during the last few days, I encountered so many incomprehensible phenomena that, against my own will, I started to look between the lines in the simplest things. Obviously, I felt exponentially uneasy in the forest at night. Everywhere I looked, every shadow, every tree or bush, I looked like weird creatures escaping straight from horror movies or Stephen King novels. Well, I can't see anything that looks really scary. Maybe there. That looks like a monster. Any other places? No. A branch seemed to be someone's hand. Yeah, I don't see that. So eager to grab your shoulder. Lion log, someone's dead body, someone who failed to get out of the forest. In every ravine I saw a bottomless abyss. If I would find myself in the forest under any other circumstances, without all these buses and pioneer camps, of course I would still feel myself uncomfortable, but then I would be able to explain everything with logic and then be afraid of nothing, of course, except for the owls and mice. But at the moment there were more than enough reasons to fear. Despite all of this, I reached the old camp without any adventures. Oh my days, that looks like a scary house. In a little glade surrounded by trees stood a house resembling a kindergarten. Paint peeling off the walls, almost all the windows were broken masonry here and there. Holes on the roof looked like those produced by bombing. I don't see any holes in the roof. Does look bloody scary though. In front of the building was a little garden surrounded by a rusty fence. Apparently once it was a playground with merry-go-round, swings, chutes and other Soviet attractions. But time is cruel, and all of them were mutilated by corrosion and broken. The grass was so tall that almost came up to my waist. Is it animated slightly here or what? That's just my eyes. Moon looked out from behind the clouds and illuminated the old camp. It seemed like everything came back to life. Windows with new glass, the walls painted with fresh paint. Oh, that's weird. Okay, that's weird. Don't like that. Little girl ghost. Little girl ghost, no. I heard playful laughter, saw translucent children joyfully running and frolicking in the yard. Harsh camp leader on the threshold, holding baskets with ripe apples in her hand. Old cleaning lady, Manja, taking a nap in the shade. I got such chills. Of course my imagination was playing tricks on me, but the old camp itself was so similar to all the post-apocalyptic pictures I had seen in their visions that it was no surprise. I stood undecided for a long time before I dared to go further. After all, I'm here to find Shurek. Though I still don't get what he might be doing here. If he's even here. Boot somewhere nearby doesn't mean anything. However, if he was not eaten by wolves, for some reason it seems like there were no wolves in this forest, there must be only place where he might be hiding. I accurately crossed the yard, pushing the tall grass apart, trying not to run into some pieces of metal, but I stopped in the doorway and hesitated. Impenetrable heavy darkness looked at me from inside. Even the bright moonlight could not reach any object or silhouettes. My head was filled with different thoughts that it's better for me not to go any further and run away quickly. But I pulled myself together, turned on the flashlight and stepped into the threshold. Oh, this is not going to look good. Oh, this is better than I thought it would. Nothing weird. Look for weird stuff. No little girl ghost. Inside the building looked like a typical kindergarten. I still remember my childhood days and so everything here looked very familiar. Sleeping room with lines of beds standing close to each other, large playrooms, toilets, dining rooms and utility rooms. Signs of the past children's joy were seen everywhere. From time to time the flashlight helped me to draw my attention to a decaying doll or plastic toy car, or punctured rubber ball, or broken rank of tin soldiers. There was a faded with age book on the table. I flipped through a few pages. It was a story I read a long time ago, back in my childhood. Something about the war. Enemies destroying the kindergarten and all of its kids hiding in the little basement together with a bunch of adults while bombs were exploding up on the surface. I don't remember the end of the story, but as far as I remembered, nobody died. Looking at the illustrations, all emotions, fear, sadness, sympathy to the poor children, and sense of hopelessness which I had experienced while reading this book came over me. It's strange that under exactly these conditions, right here and now, I found this book. Probably there is somebody who managed the ongoing, who writes scenarios for this absurd play, who sews costumes for local pioneers, and draw scenery like this abandoned camp. To tell the truth, he is very talented. Attention paid to even the most minor of details. Although this place was abandoned a long time ago, everything here seemed to be untouched. Of course, time didn't spare this camp. In so many years, it often visited by locals. Just a perfect place for young people hitting their puberty. They could drink alcohol, indulge in amorous pleasures or simply burn everything down just for fun. Electronic mentioned this place is full of its legends. Legends of ghosts and devils living here. Take at least the story about the camp leader who committed suicide. In my world, nobody would believe that this could stop somebody, but in this reality, everything is possible. Certainly, the fear didn't disappear, but I decided that since I came here, let's take it to the end. The building was small, so it wasn't difficult to inspect it fully, but I didn't find any signs of Shurek. Maybe I should just call him out. Maybe on the other hand, it's not a good idea. Frustrated, I sat on the bench in the lobby and sighed. Ghosts, where are you? I asked the camp. And all of a sudden I noticed a strange deepening in the corner. A small hatched ajar. Adult would hardly squeeze in it. And it seemed to me that it had been recently opened as the dust was cleared around it. And so it's here where I need to get scared. So Shurek reached somewhere. What might be lurking beneath? A basement? What was he doing here? Bloody hell, that scared me. Don't get jumpy now. I fully opened the hatch and pointed the flashlight towards the darkness, into the darkness. There was a ladder going down a couple of meters, jibbing into a concrete floor. There was a low, narrow corridor disappearing into the darkness. I hesitated for a long time. On one hand, I had absolutely no desire to go down there. On the other hand, if Shurek was really there, I swore loudly and began to descend.